Dien Phu is a basin-shaped valley in the forest mountainous land of west-northern Vietnam. It is 18 kilometers long and 6 to 8 kilometers wide and surrounded by high mountains. In order to deal with our activities in the winter-spring of 1953-1954, French General Navarre decided in December 1953 to build Dien Phu into a powerfully entrenched camp. The camp was composed of 49 strong points divided into 3 subsectors. Subsector Isabelle in the south, subsector north consisting of 2 centers, Anne-Marie and Gabrielle. Central subsector, the most important one, composed of 5 groups of strong points where 2/3 of the French occupants of Dien Phu were stationed. The Beatrice group, the northwestern and southwestern groups were made of strong points. 105, 106, 206, 311, 311A, 311B, and 310. On the eastern hill, there were strong points E1, C1, C2, and A1. In the low-lying area, there were strong points 505, 505A, 506, 507, 508, 509, and 210. The Castro's headquarters lay just in the central area, surrounded by strong points. Artillery signs and 2 airfields were situated in Bung Thang and Isabelle. Dien Phu were described by both French and Americans as the most powerfully entrenched camp ever seen in Indochina, a fortress that could not be destroyed at the time. After analyzing strong and weak points of Dien Phu camp, the Politburo of the Vietnamese Labour Party decided to put it out of action. In the spirit of all to victory, people enthusiastically went to the front as people's laborers, making roads to supply food grains and foodstuffs, arms and ammunition by various means. Days and nights, troops and people cleaved mountains and made routes to take artillery pieces across numerous sloping hills and deep springs to their sides. With the tradition of knowing how to fight and defeat the invading army, many times as strong in the remote days of the nation, the Front Command, under the direction of the party's Central Committee, based on drill conditions and timely replaced its planned attack against Dien Phu for 3 nights and 1 day by a new plan emphasizing the precept of fighting steadily and advancing steadily. This is also the way to give full play to our advantage and to restrict the enemy's strength to the highest point. Unable to know our intention, French troops conducted many probing attacks at the Green Hill. Our 23 combatants fought bravely and held the battleground firm. From high mountains, our forces dug trenches downward to the Mung Thang field. Just at 5 p.m. on March the 13th, 1954, our troops opened fire and attacked the battery's resistance center. Supported by artillery fire, 3 infantry battalions rapidly broke through the French defenses. The enemy, relying on fortifications, resisted violently. Squad leader Van den Zot rushed forward and filled a loophole with his own body, thus creating favorable conditions for his comrades in arms to move into the death. After 5.5 hours of fighting, the attackers completely destroyed the battery's resistance center. At 2 a.m. on May the 15th, 1954, our troops launched attacks against the Gabriel Resistance Center and destroyed it at 6:30 o'clock on May the 15th. The enemy launched a counter-attack by tanks and infantry from Mung, but it was forced to withdraw as suffering losses caused by our infantry and artillery fire. Exploiting success, our artillerymen fired 20 rounds of position artillery at 15 o'clock on March the 17th. A Thai puppet battalion that was stationed there raised white flags as being vacillated by the shelling. With the end of the first wave of attacks, our forces stripped the hard shell of the Dien entrenched camp, opened the route to its center, seriously threatened its Mung Thang airfield, and delivered a stunning blow at the enemy's morale. French artillery commander Pirot, known as defying our artillery, committed suicide. From March the 18th to the 30th, our forces dug trenches in preparation for the second wave of attacks. The actual entrenchment formed a siege of the central and southern subsectors. On the night of March the 29th, our anti-aircraft guns approached the central subsector. At 17 o'clock on March the 30th, our forces opened fire, starting the second wave of attacks. Enemy strong points were pounded on a large scale. After a few hours of fighting, the attackers destroyed strong points E1, D1, D2, and 210. Fighting became fiercer and fiercer at C1, of which each side occupied a half. From hill A1, the enemy, relying on bunkers and other fortifications, launched counter-attacks. Fighting at the same time was synonymous with grasping at every meter of the battleground, and finally, our side occupied 1/3 of the strong point. In the west, our forces destroyed strong point 106 on the night of April the 1st. On April the 2nd, the enemy, being stationed in strong point 311, surrendered. On the night of April the 4th, our troops advanced and attacked strong point 105, but a moment later it was reoccupied by enemy tanks. Facing the threat of the fall of Dien Bien Phu, the U.S. urgently sent war materials to reinforce it. On our side, with experience drawn from past battles, preparations continue for new fighting. The rear wholeheartedly supported the forefront. On the night of April the 18th, our troops destroyed position 105. On the night of April the 22nd, our forces attacked and seized position 106 and pushed back waves of enemy counter-attacks. Ramified entrenchment continued nibbling the Mung Thang airfield and subsector Isabel, cutting off the stomach of encircling Dien Bien Phu camp. The enemy launched fierce counter-attacks on April the 23rd and 24th, but suffered heavy losses. Our anti-aircraft fire rendered supply parachutage less effective. Many supplies fell into the hands of our courageous combatants. The third wave of attacks started on the night of May the 1st. Strong points C1, 505, 505A, 311A, and 311B were rapidly destroyed. Our entrenchment became more and more tightening. Some trenches were distant from the Castro's underground headquarters, about 300 meters. Facing the tightening noose, the enemy intended to open a bloody way to retreat hastily to Upper Lao on the night of May the 7th. However, our forces again attacked Hill A1 at 6 p.m. on May the 6th. Our engineering took dug a tunnel 47 meters long to plant a ton of explosive into the defensive battleground of the enemy. Our infantrymen rushed for good from various directions and completely destroyed Hill A1. Strong points C2, 310, 506, 507, 508, and 509 were one by one annihilated. At 15 o'clock on May, our force from the east and the west launched the general attack against the French headquarters. At 5:30 p.m., General de Castro's and the whole of his staff were captured alive. The flag, determined to fight and win, was driven into the top of the French headquarters. In Subsector Isabelle, enemy troops tried to retreat hastily to Lao, but they were all captured. The historic campaign of Dien Bien Phu ended at 24 o'clock on May the 7th, 1954. Thanks to the support from the rear with all its heart and mind, and to the coordination of various battlefields, our forces, skillful in the art of war, after 55 days and nights of continuous fighting, put the whole of the entrenched camp in Dien Bien Phu out of action, destroyed and captured 16,200 men, shot down and destroyed on the ground 62 aircraft of various kinds, and seized all armaments and war materials.